All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Phantom Anime Reviewer here, back again on the channel here on YouTube. And so, what's going on, folks? It is now officially Monday, April 21st of 2025. Happy late belated Easter to you all. Hope you all had a good weekend, a good Easter weekend, and all that kind of stuff for those of you who celebrate it. And so, hope you all have been doing well. I've been doing pretty good. Been fairly active, for the most part on my main channel, Wrestling Otaku. For those of you who follow that. And also, I've, my group channel, Fortune 4 Shooters, which I'll try to get active on here. And also, I want to get back to doing regular content here on my Phantom Anime Reviewer channel, which hope some of you guys have enjoyed the little clips I've been uploading, the anime openings, closing themes, and such that I've been uploading recently. And so I wanted to go ahead and do this video because this is obviously something, I guess you could say, has become somewhat of a trend or a tradition on this channel the last couple years, where I'm basically going to showcase the anime titles that I'm watching in regards to every season, every time there's a new season, when we get a new season of anime and new anime titles dropping. So as you know, as most of you should know, spring just rolled around. It is now obviously April. We're here in going on mid to late April. And in the beginning of April, we had the start of the spring 2025 season for anime. So all the spring 2025 anime have been releasing the last several weeks. And of course, as I have done in the last few years, like I just mentioned, every season I take a look at what anime is releasing, whether it be new titles or continuing titles or titles with new seasons. I always look at. Again, this is kind of something that I've made a habit of doing the last several years. I take a look at what's releasing and I see what's interesting, and then I'll watch it. And then, so yeah. And one thing that has been kind of a recurring trend here on this channel, is that I'll showcase the what anime I'm watching in the form of a list. So with this video, I'm here to show you rather, my list of the spring 2025 anime titles that I'm currently watching. So hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, before I kind of get into it here, be sure to like this video, leave a comment afterwards, give me your thoughts on any of these anime titles if you guys are watching them, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Appreciate all the support I can get. We are definitely climbing up there in regards to the sub count. We're now at 350, I believe, 350 subs. So we're definitely racking up. I've definitely been racking up the subs, in the last few weeks, really since the beginning of the year. So it's great to see, the growth of the channel. But anyway, so let's get into it here. So as you can see, I have my entire list of the spring 2025 anime that I'm currently watching and following. And this is, again, something that I've done regularly. I'll use this particular, journal to write down the anime titles, and then I'll have, keep track of how many episodes, or keep track of the episodes that I am watching. And so that's pretty much what I've done. I did the same thing for, of course, winter early this year. The winter anime, by the way, I have all wrapped up, and I've finished all but one of them, which is continuing on into the spring. So with that being said, let us begin. And for those of you who are curious, let's just turn the page back. This, of course, was the winter 2025 anime, which I showed this in the video earlier this year, still on the channel. As you can see, I got all the check marks. And by the way, the check marks on the side mean that I've completed the series. So I've completed all but the one here, which is I left my A-rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. I'm up to episode 14 there. I have to add a check, to that a little later, because I just watched episode 14 of that over the weekend. But anyway, so switching back to this page here. So let's take a look at the anime that I'm watching so far. We'll start at the top. We have a series called I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. 3 episodes into that. They actually haven't aired an episode in like a couple weeks now, which is a little odd. But then again, it did start out, it did release kind of early, earlier than scheduled. And yeah, they had 3 episodes air within like the first week of April. So I guess they're taking a bit of a hiatus before they release any more. I'm not sure, but hopefully that series continues. But that is a pretty interesting series. Very, very comical, very funny, and it's got kind of the sci-fi space element, which you don't really see a whole lot of nowadays, which is kind of odd because that used to be a big genre back in the day with all the Gundam, anime, and all the mech anime and stuff. And so, Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire so far has been pretty interesting. 3 episodes in. So then, moving on, we have a series called The Unaware Atelier Master. I put Master because I guess that's the English, title for the series. But that's a pretty interesting series, fantasy series following a guy who basically a young man by the name of Kurt, who basically, he has no battle, no skills in battle, but his main skills are more so related with other things like crafting and building and such, and he's actually so good at various things that he doesn't really know. He's kind of unaware of his own ability. It kind of reminds you of like a series like I Parry Everything, which I watched last year, where it's one of those anime where the MC is just completely unaware of his talents or how good he is. And so yeah, I'm having fun with that one. That's a pretty good series as well. So then next up we have a rather polarizing series called The Beginning After the End. 3 episodes into that, I have to update these. If you notice the little check marks, that basically represents episodes, and I have to update this because I haven't added any checks in like a week. So, and I usually do it every Monday, it is Monday now, where I add a check mark for every episode I watch throughout the week, and I have to do that. Well, I'm going to do that after this video. So, but anyway. So The Beginning After the End is basically an isekai series where a guy who is like a king, who's like an oppressive king or whatever, basically he meets his end, somehow, some way, and then he gets reincarnated basically as a regular, or normal human, human boy with a family and such, and kind of goes through a journey of, basically rediscovering himself, or rediscovering a life, as completely separate from his previous world. So, very interesting series there. It's pretty polarizing because a lot of people, I think this is a series that a lot of people had high hopes for, and then there's been like a massive criticism in regards to like the pacing of the anime itself and the animation specifically that people are complaining about. I personally don't have much of an issue with the animation. I think it's pretty solid, and the series so far has been interesting. So yeah, I guess people, they want to complain for the sake of complaining. I think that's a lot of it, but some people, I guess, who watch the series as, I believe it started out as a manhwa, because if you don't know, manhwa is basically Korean version of a manga, so it's more of a Korean, I guess, series, or whatever have you, or it started as a Korean series. So, but yeah, so I personally have enjoyed the first 3 episodes, so that's just me. I guess my tastes are kind of different, but I've enjoyed it. I liked it, so we'll see how far that goes. But anyway, pretty interesting series there. So then we move on to another interesting series here called Sword of the Demon Hunter. 3 episodes into that. Basically, it follows the story of a man. It started out in like the feudal era of Japan, or like the 1800s of Japan, where basically a guy is like a samurai, or, well, not a samurai, but a guardian or whatever, and he basically it's basically a world with old time in Japan customs, and demons who attack humans and such. And it turns out that his sister that he was looking after was a demon, and she basically becomes like the Lord of Demons or something like that, or Lord of Demons or whatever. And he basically is tasked, or not tasked, but he takes it upon himself to wipe out all the demons of humanity and something like that. So, but if you want to get further, a little more in depth with that, I suggest you watch the series. It's pretty interesting so far. The episode 1 was like an hour long, so yeah, they get really in depth there. Anyway, so solid series there. So then we have another fun little series here called The Catcher in the Ballpark. 3 episodes into that. That's more of a sports-based anime that also is kind of like doubles as a slice of life series, where it follows like a number of people who it's more like a series revolving around baseball, specifically around individuals who always hang around a specific ballpark. You get stories from the players themselves, the people who attend the games, one specific guy who's like a salaryman who always comes to the games to escape his, normal life. And then, the vendors who are there, and the staff who work at the ballpark and such. And so you get various, points of view from many different characters, but it's a fun little series so far. All right, so then we get into our first, I guess you could say, series ecchi anime of the season, and another, I guess you could say, polarizing series, although a number of people have enjoyed it so far. A series called Please Put Them on Takamine-san, which is basically a series revolving a young man who basically has a fondness for, a girl who's like the class idol. And then she finds out later that she's got a special ability that she can actually go back in time, to change, the outcome of various things. But obviously, there's a catch with it. In order for her to go back in time, she actually has to remove a piece of her underwear, and her underwear actually disappears afterwards. So then, basically, he figures out her secret, and she basically more or less blackmails him into helping her out, in regards to it. So yeah, very cultured, very cultured anime series there. 3 episodes. Well, actually, no, 2, because episode 3 was supposed to air, but it got delayed. So episode 3 will air later this week. Actually, tomorrow, I believe. So yeah, interesting series there. For those of you who follow that, wink, wink. Next up is a series called Your Forma. Decent series there, not as big, not as big on it as some of the others, but it's got potential. Where basically it takes place in kind of more of a retro retro London, almost, or I should say futuristic, London, where you got humans who are robots, and people who do brain scans and various stuff like that. And it follows the story of a female detective and her partner who's an android, pretty much. So a decent series there. So then we got another unique series here on this for the season, called The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. It follows the story of a young man who basically was cast out from his previous party, guild, whatever the case may be, and he basically makes a life at, basically he starts life anew, and he becomes basically an underground healer, and he uses his incredible healing abilities to help people out. And so he basically makes a name in doing that, because his healing powers, abilities are much far beyond what a normal healer, quote unquote, is. We've seen several anime like that the last couple years involving healers and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we had Redo of Healer a couple years ago. I mean, it's not quite that level, but we have had a lot of healer animes, or anime involving healers as the main character, the last couple of years. But anyway, so then we have our first season 2 here. We got Windbreaker season 2. For those of you who don't know, Windbreaker was a fairly popular series that aired last year. Involves a lot of fighting, a lot of school life, specifically revolving around a young man by the name of Sakura. I forget his full name, but he's basically goes to this school where you got basically this group of individuals who protect the town, and they call them Furin, and they're basically something akin to a almost like a gang, basically, but it's more of a kind of say a peaceful kind of gang. They basically they basically do their utmost to protect the town from from harm, or pretty much. But anyway, so for those of you watching Windbreaker season 1, what the series, that story, or what the series is. So Windbreaker season 2, so I'm 3 episodes into that. So then we got another school life anime, kind of a different variety here. So a big rom-com series here, romantic comedy here, called Can a Boy Girl Friendship Survive? Where it follows the story of a boy and a girl who have been friends since childhood, and they basically make a promise to each other that they would stay friends, at least until their 30s. And if they can't find anybody, or if they can't get married to anybody else, so when they turn 30, then they'll basically marry each other, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a whole bunch of hoopla involved. And then there's a girl who comes into the mix who the boy has a past with. And then, the girl, the friend, his friend, who obviously is a girl, kind of displays feelings of jealousy and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, very fun series there. Very fun series there. 3 episodes in. So then we get another really fun series, a kind of a hidden gem of the season, if you will, called a series called From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman. It follows the story of a middle-aged man who basically is a teacher for swordsmanship, and then later he reunites with one of his students, or a couple of his students who ended up becoming prominent fighters, and so on and so forth. And they basically recruit one of them recruits him to be a special instructor, away from his rural village. So and a lot of interesting stuff going on there. So all right, let me just move on here. I don't want to be too long with this because we're almost 15 minutes in. But anyway, so then we get Shoshimin season 2. Interesting little series there. It's more of a kind of drama / mystery type series series involving, several individuals who, quote unquote, basically want to become normal. And so if you've seen season one, you know what I'm, you know that about that series. Season one aired, by the way, last spring or summer, I believe. So I watched all of season one. Now I'm on to season two. That's the second, season two that I'm watching here. And there's another one that I'll get to in a little bit. So then we got a series called Kowloon Generic Romance. Another really interesting one there, I think it's based on like an actual place. It's like set in China, where basically it follows the story of, two real estate workers in a town called Kowloon in China, whereas basically, there's like a lot of, kind of nostalgia, type stuff going on. And, the woman in question, like she lived a previous life and she doesn't really have any memory of it. And so very interesting series there. So then we get another really popular series here, one that's actually airing on Adult Swim called Lazarus. It's very similar to, if anyone's a fan of Cowboy Bebop, it's actually very similar to that. I think it actually had the same, like, the team or create animators, whatever have you. I think it's pretty much the same team or the same writers that was on Cowboy Bebop is actually working on Lazarus. That basically follows the story of, a group of individuals who are trying to find this doctor who pretty much, was the creator of this, like, drug. And pretty much it came out later, the doctor who came in with the drug basically said, that it is going to lead to the death of mankind or something like that. And they basically have to find him, within 30 days to get the cure or whatever. And so, yeah. So, very interesting series there. So then we get one of the more comical anime of the season, that being Witch Watch. Very fun little school life rom-com series there with, some fantasy elements, witch stuff, elements and stuff like that. And very comical, very funny. Lots of outside references, references to other anime and stuff, within the first couple episodes. It's a fun series. So then we get another really interesting series here. I believe this one was based in China or Korea as well, called To Be Hero X. Kind of real interesting mix of, kind of like a mix of various animations that go into that one. Involves the story of a man who basically takes the role of a hero, who the hero in question who, like, basically kind of took his own life, and then this guy who, like, worked for this company basically takes the role of said hero. And he kind of delves into like, all sorts of various what's the word I'm looking for? It delves into all sorts of it delves kind of into his backstory and into his, why he, he's initially hesitant, to be, to take the role of, whatever the hero, but eventually he kind of, eventually he kind of goes along with it. So very interesting series there. So then we get a couple of short series here, more ecchi for the season. The first one is a series called Yandere Dark Elf, where it's kind of like a reverse isekai, where the main protagonist is like, in the beginning he basically conquers a demon lord and then he's sent back to his own world. And then the dark elf in question basically follows him to his own world, and because she's she's a yandere and she's obsessed with him, and she wants to basically have him all to herself. And so yeah, lots of cultured hijinks there with that one. So I've actually aired a few clips of that series here on the channel. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that. And then we have another short series here called Makina-san's a Love Bot, where basically another kind of school life series here where the main character, or the MC, finds out that one of his classmates is actually a android or a love bot, pretty much, that was created in order to pretty much seduce, the opposite sex. And so very another interesting series there. And by the way, those two anime, Yandere Dark Elf and Makina-san's a Love Bot, the episodes for those are only like 12 minutes long, so it's basically like half episodes more or less. So yeah. So then we get another series here called Summer Pockets. It's very similar to like a old school Key Animation series. Actually, it's made by Key Animation, the same creators from anime like Air TV, Canon, Clannad, series like that. For those of you who remember those, the Summer Pockets is very similar to that. Again, it's the same animation studio, the same creation studio. So yeah, 2 episodes into that. I have to watch the third one. It actually aired today, so I'll watch that later. Then we got another interesting series here from the same creator, from the same author as Rent a Girlfriend, which Rent a Girlfriend season 4 is actually coming out in the summer, called the Shionji Family Children, where it basically basically involves a family, a high shit. It basically tells the story of a family of siblings who they're all part of like a rich family or a wealthy family or a well-known family, whatever. And then one day during one of their birthdays, the father basically tells them that they're all adopted and they're not actually related by blood. And so you got a lot of stuff that goes on there. So so yeah, very interesting series there. And then finally we get Go Go Loser Ranger season 2. That is the third and final anime of the season of the anime that I'm watching. That is a season 2. So if you guys saw season 1 was pretty interesting. This series, basically, it's like it's inspired by shows like Power Rangers or Super Sentai, for those of you who follow Japanese. So it's basically Japanese version of Power Rangers, but it's very much Power Rangers inspired series there. But anyway, so we got season 2 airing, 2 episodes into that. Or, well, I have to watch episode 2. I haven't watched it yet. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So this is my entire list. This is the entire list of the spring 2025 anime that I'm currently watching. And also, again, I have one anime from the winter 2025 that I'm continuing. So with that included, I'm watching about roughly 20 or so anime titles, or I'm following 20 or so anime titles up to this point. So there's the entire list. So let me just run through the grain real quick. We got the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire, the Unaware Tellier Master, The Beginning After the End, Sword of the Demon Hunter, The Catcher in the Ballpark, Please Put Them On, Takemine-san, Euroforma, A Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows, Windbreaker Season 2, Can a Boy Girl Friendship Survive, From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, Shoshamin Season 2, Kowloon Generic Romance, Lazarus, Witch Watch, To Be Hero X, Yandere Dark Elf, Makina-san's a Love Bot, Summer Pockets, the Shionji Family Children, and Go Go Loser Rangers. So that is the entire list. Those are all the spring 2025 anime that I'm currently watching, and that's pretty much going to do it for this video. So thank you for watching, for those of you who have watched up to this point. So be sure to stay tuned. I got more content coming. I want to try to get back to doing the reviews, first impressions, videos, stuff like that. So you'll be seeing that here on the channel, hopefully very soon. That's all I got to say for this. So thank you for watching once more. Till next time, Phantom Anime Reviewer signing off here on the Phantom Anime Reviewer channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, I'm out for now. Signing off. Peace.